The entire cryptocurrency market is in free fall, and in this video, we're going to be going over some charts and updates on exactly where XRP stands. Now, we're also going to be talking about, in general, kind of the difference between XRP and a lot of other cryptocurrencies in the market, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see that. I think if you are someone who holds a lot of different cryptocurrencies, you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like these videos and subscribe to the channel. These two simple things really do help me out so much. Also, if you have any good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange upload down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. Because obviously the cryptocurrency market got hit pretty hard last night with the US involvement in some geopolitical affairs. I have to be very non-specific because I talked about in my video yesterday how I got a warning for mentioning some things on YouTube. Whatever, we'll move right past that. But if you're wondering why I'm being so broad about some of the things going on globally, that's why. Now, the big thing right now is there really hasn't been any retaliation, which is extremely important to watch, because this essentially shows us that, wow, we have these tensions, these things are happening, it's not ideal, markets don't like it, but things aren't progressing at any kind of rapid clip yet. This is extremely good news. It looks like so far this has been pretty limited, and we're going to talk about that a lot at the end of the video, but we're also bouncing at some very important levels that I really want to cover right now in this video. So right now, XRP is finding fantastic support at this $2 range. We're at about $1.98 right now, and it looks like a lot of liquidity is coming in and supporting the price. Now, this is a very, very powerful zone for XRP. We've essentially held this zone the entire time we've been up above $2, and we've had a lot of different negative catalysts coming in here. Remember, a couple months ago, the entire fear on the market actually caused a worse sell-off than what we're seeing right now was tariffs. Tariffs caused the entire market to go into a free fall, and Trump actually had to reverse his policy on tariffs just to essentially stop the market from dumping. This is really important to pay attention to, because a lot of people are looking at the dip right now and panicking, and it's important to realize, right, like we're still way above zones where we need to be comfortable with where the XRP price chart stands. We've gone lower on things that, I mean, zooming out, right, it almost seems like, wow, I can't believe tariffs made a worse sell-off than what we're watching right now. But really, a lot of what's happening in the market right now doesn't really have a lot of economic or financial concerns at the current escalation level. So is there uncertainty? Is there fear? Is the general market taking a bit of a hit? Yes, absolutely, but there's not a lot that really impacts any investment thesis. You're just seeing a lot of people taking advantage of the fear catalysts in the news and causing liquidity flushes. Remember, there's a lot of people who want to accumulate these assets, and they want to accumulate at the cheapest price possible. So if they can shake you out of your bags, get some capitulation wicks below the support region and fill their bags, that's what they're going to try to do. It's always a new fear catalyst, right? Like a couple months ago, we talked about it was tariffs, and a couple of months before that, it was the presidency, and a couple months before that, it was the other global affair going on. There's always going to be something going on, but the thing that really derailed a lot of the progress we were making in the space was the Terra Luna FTX situation, right? That was the thing that really caused everything to stall, shut everything down, and all progress was lost, and we went into a severe, severe correction. All of these global events that don't really relate to blockchain haven't done much except cause short-term noise. As we just looked at on that XRP price chart, we're not even trading any worse than tariffs. And if we take a look at the longer-term monthly chart, we're still sitting way on top of the current support, which is the previous 2017 all-time high and the 2021 all-time high when Terra Luna kicked in. So XRP is still holding these levels extremely nicely, and that's very, very good to see. Although it's not fun to have to go through these global events, and obviously there's more important things happening in the world than just price charts and XRP, it's very nice to see that these things really aren't derailing XRP's price much at all. We're still sitting on all the macro levels at very important places, and it just doesn't seem like these fear catalysts are really amounting to anything that is causing total global chaos. Is there uncertainty in the market? Is the market not reacting favorably? Yes, but that's essentially expected, right? I don't think anyone really looked at this as saying, oh, this is going to be super positive for the markets. But the fact that so far XRP is really bucking most of the trend so far and really just trading sideways as we have been over the last couple months, it's an extremely positive sign and shows us that if we get any let up, any kind of relief here, we're probably going to move past this fairly quickly. Just like we did with tariffs, right? When it first came out, everyone was freaking out. All the news headlines were picking up on it, calling about a global depression, a recession, all this different stuff, and it just never materialized. I think this is the same exact thing. It really should be an opportunity to say, hey, while everyone else is freaking out, I'm going to load up my bags. Now, just a quick proof point, right, that things aren't dire in the blockchain space. Just take a look at this chart right here. What this shows is XRP net new addresses coming into the ecosystem. There has been an explosion of new XRP addresses as of recent, and we're up to 71 million wallets. So there is a mass accumulation of spot XRP going on right now. And one of the things I'm personally hearing on the background is this US-centric narrative is extremely, extremely strong. A lot of people are specifically looking at XRP because of that US-centric narrative. There's a lot of people looking at XRP as being in a much better place than the rest of these other chains. I go through this list a lot, but if you're looking to build or do anything significant in crypto, unless you're just holding a cryptocurrency asset and doing nothing else, you're probably not doing it on Bitcoin. Ethereum has all kinds of issues and is losing a lot of credibility in the dev space because of the lack of advancements, the overblown bloat of the smart contract problem, and then just the consensus via staking problem going on over there. Then after that, you have Solana, which really is having a tough time moving past the meme coin reputation space. Good things going on with Solana, but ultimately it's just a lot of VC pump and dump money flowing through it. And then at that same point, right, you also have the fact that Solana's infrastructure really has improved itself. And then really in those top chains, then you have XRP, and XRP has done an extremely good job of remaining robust, really doing what it's needed to do, being fast and efficient. And then Ripple's connection to the institutional side of crypto is massively critical. So all while we're going through all these macro uncertainty events that are causing a lot of volatility in the short-term chop of the price charts, we're actually watching mass accumulation of XRP, and that's showing in the total wallets being created. Now, I thought this chart was pretty nice, and it's a little bit of a simple one, but we talked about this earlier. There's a lot of these same, let's call it, world clash events being talked about all through 2024. There's a lot of fear right before XRP's big move that these things were going to play out and we're going into this huge sort of event and markets were going to just completely get destroyed. Right after that, XRP went on a massive tear. These FUD catalysts often turn into buying opportunities, so it's so important to realize that. Essentially, if you are someone who has a very good purview over global markets and you're looking to mass accumulate assets, right? The best thing you could possibly see is some kind of big news headline that you can go use to push around markets and get people fearful. That is a lot of what I believe we are seeing right now. And it just so happens, right, that this is all happening at the same time the Genius bill is being passed, at the same time the Ripple SEC case is wrapping up, as we have these ETFs coming around the corner. We have the most pro-cryptocurrency regime in history. And you're telling me all of that stuff is happening and people are actually trading XRP for the same price as they were in 2018 and 2021? It's a total joke. In 2018, people weren't even sure if cryptocurrencies were going to exist. And in 2021, there wasn't any institutional adoption. It was like still at the point where it's like, oh, maybe one day people will someday be interested in this. The fact that some people are willing to exchange their XRP for the same price others were doing it in 2017 and 2021 just shows a complete lack of understanding in the asset itself and the space in general. The amount of progression that has happened here is showing that you are getting a huge market discount on the price of XRP. And eventually the market is going to catch up and price that in. I think based off where the fundamentals of XRP are at right now, you're at least looking at a $10 to $15 XRP on the fundamentals alone, let alone a lot of that future growth and adoption that we already know is underway. I think this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Just because the market hasn't shown you this yet, right? Just because the market hasn't reflected it yet, doesn't mean that's not where XRP's true value is. And it's a very important Warren Buffett quote. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay rational. Well, that's the average investor, right? The big smart financial institutions, they know how to navigate this stuff and they use that tactic against you, right? Make you feel irrational, make you feel like, oh, well, maybe this just really is the top. Maybe this is the highest XRP is going to go. steal your XRP, and then the market continues to march higher. Now, with all that said, I think there is an important differentiation that we have to make. And this is something that I've been trying to warn a lot of people about, but it's kind of difficult because people get very attached to different styles of projects. In my opinion, the XRP ledger is extremely differentiated from a lot of other cryptocurrency out there. And people always ask me, why don't you talk about this project? Why don't you talk about that project? Because when I look at the cryptocurrency market, I haven't seen a lot of really killer use case for cryptocurrencies other than the financial applications, right? Being able to move value, being able to tokenize value, being able to swap value, liquidity, those kinds of things. There's a lot of different people trying to solve all these different off cases of crypto, things like, I don't know, gaming and all these other kind of one-off use cases for cryptocurrency technology. And what I really want people to understand is that it might not get solved in the way you think. Just because someone goes and makes a cryptocurrency meant for gaming or a chain meant for gaming, whatever the heck that means, it doesn't mean that they're actually going to have a game that people want to use, right? If GTA turns on XRP and Bitcoin in game, that's going to be the #1 gaming cryptocurrency project out there, and XRP and Bitcoin are going to be the #1 gaming cryptocurrency tokens. It doesn't matter if someone else made a different chain for cryptocurrency gaming. You have to go to where the users are. Right now, the users are in the top chain, and while there's other things trying to disrupt that, they're much further behind. A lot of people bring me all kinds of different cryptocurrency projects, and they're like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I say, look, that's great, but if I had the opportunity to buy Google or Amazon in 2000, I'm buying Google or Amazon, right? I'm not going to waste my time with all these other things out there, because why would I take that amount of risk when even the biggest winners were up hundreds of thousands of % over the next decade? It's about picking winners, but understanding that we're still extremely early into this space, extremely early. And it's already a very high risk space. I talked about on a chart before, back in 2021 and 2022, I still don't know if I was convinced if the United States government was going to allow these things to really take off and reach their full potential. The fact that we didn't even know that yet, right? And a lot of people were going down the chain and buying projects and getting involved with different things that really didn't have a lot of fundamentals to them other than a hope and a dream. You know, that's one of the things for me. It's like, well, I just want to be in the things that I know have the firepower, the resources, the network effect, the liquidity to continue to exist far into the future. You know, it's really easy to dream up a vision and make a dream and really sell that dream. That's not the hard part. The hard part is getting a board of directors who can get you in the room in the right places and sell you to the right financial institutions and make sure your network is growing in the places that matter. That's the hard part. And it's so important to realize that only a few cryptocurrency chains have really done this well. It's going to be extremely hard for any chain to reach that same level of mass adoption, or even to catch up to where XRP is today. And I just think it's so important because we're on the precipice of what I believe is going to be one of the biggest changes in finance we've ever seen. And there's only going to be limited projects that really muster and gain that kind of level of adoption from this next wave. It's not going to be every single project in the market, just like most of the internet companies in the early days didn't exceed. It was just the big leaders who ended up continue to keep winning big and continuing to maintain their lead. There's a lot of smaller players who continue to do well, but it didn't amount to them being multi-trillion-dollar companies. They had so much work to do just to catch up to where Amazon already was in 2000. If you're listening to this thinking, hey, wow, my portfolio is actually kind of littered with companies that I thought were going to do really big things, and now it's taking a little bit longer to do that than I thought, right? It's never a bad idea to pull some of the weeds around your main crop and let that main crop grow even better and stronger than ever. Right now, we're at a very unique point where you kind of get another chance to say, okay, well, the market hasn't ran away from me yet. Maybe there's still time to do some of this reallocation. It might be something worth considering. This is one of those times where you kind of get a rare opportunity to say, okay, well, the global market is holding everything up. I got a bit more time to think about this. What projects do I know are going to exist in 10 to 15 years from now? I think that's the question a lot of people need to be asking. It wasn't that hard to make a lot of money from 2000 to now, right? Buy Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, do nothing. I don't think it's going to be much different in crypto. At the end of the day, all we are is humans trading a different market, a more volatile market, a more important market, but it's still humans. And therefore, I think a lot of these charts with more volatility are going to react very similar to what we saw in the early dot-com era. You just have to find the biggest winners. You need to find the leaders. You need to find the ones who are going to be setting industry standards. really not that hard and pretty obvious to me that's going to be XRP. Just think about that. Not saying you have to do anything. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but I think everyone needs to take a step back, look at their own position, and consider, hey, do I have a chance to say, well, maybe I made some mistakes in the early days. How do I iron this out moving forward? Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. And for now, Mickle out.